Kia ora, and welcome to the Run Adjacent podcast. We are proudly supported by Trek, Trail, and Fish. Be sure to visit their website, trektrailfish.co.nz, and use my discount code, capital RA10. That will get you 10% off your order, and orders over $150 will get you free shipping. We are super stoked to have teamed up with Sport Northland events to bring you over the next few episodes the HotPrintz Bay of Islands Run Walk Festival special. The event is happening Sunday, the 26th of May. There's still some time to enter by visiting www.runwalkseries.co.nz. We hope that you've enjoyed the previous episode with David Houndschmidt, the 50-kilometer preview episode that myself, Hayden, and Dwayne did. Today, we are really fortunate to get an all-class star runner, Ian. Hannah, could you introduce our guest for us?
Yeah, sure, Mel. So today's guest is Ian Kleingeld, and he has actually entered the Trek Trail and Fish 50-kilometer run, which is now in 2 weeks' time. Super exciting. Mel and I are good friends with Ian, so we would describe him as your typical weekend warrior type runner. He's got a diverse range of running events under his belt, some of which include the Waitomo Trail Run. He has done the Auckland Full Marathon 3 times, and the Blue Lake 24-hour challenge, the Taupo Ultra Marathon, the 100-kilometer distance. He's done the Hatia Run Summer Solstice Challenge, which was a backyard ultra-type event, and Hatia Run's Parihaka Kill Hill. Ian actually also has over 100 park runs to his name and has participated in many of Sport Northland's events, and his best half time was at the Kirikiri Half Marathon with a time of 1 hour 36. So welcome to the podcast, Ian.
Thanks, Hannah, Mel. Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
No worries. We're stoked.
We are.
We've been meaning to have you on for a while, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, lots of questions here. Can you tell me what was your run like today? Did you run?
Yes, I ran. I wanted to do park run, so I ran down to park run, then did park run and ran home. The home was a bit tough. I had to stop at a dairy and buy a drink and a chocolate and have a rest for 10 minutes. But other than that, it was pretty good because of where I live. It's uphill from wherever you go. So I had to have a little wee rest this morning.
So you run downhill to park run and then you always have to run back up the hill.
Up the hill.
Ian just lives down the road from me, so I can relate to that. It really sucks because no matter where you go, uphill is always at the end.
It's like a club of runners that run to park run, and Steve Cowan's one of them too. And it's the same situation where he has to run down Manu Hill, do park run, and then on the way back, you just have to run up the hill.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not great.
No.
It's a good way of getting your long run in for the weekend, though.
Character building. Yeah.
So how long have you been running for, Ian?
I started in 2016, so what's that, 8 years now? So I came to it quite late. I played sport all before that, so I never really was a runner.
Yeah.
And then Tracy got into it, and I said, good luck to you. And then kind of I decided I was too fat and wanted to lose some weight and started walking really. And then did the Whangarei 9, they used to, through the bush, that used to go through the bush. And then did the Kirikiri 21 that year.
So was it Tracy that got you into running, or was...
No, she didn't really encourage me, but she started it, and I wasn't really interested. And then we've got quite a lot of cholesterol and heart issues in the family, and I thought it might be a good way to get fit and try. And we had Chloe and try to prolong my life type thing.
Yeah.
So that's why I started really. So I think I've lost about 15 kgs with running. I was mid-90s before that.
Okay.
So it certainly helped.
Did you enjoy running right away?
No. I suffered from shin splints for most of my life.
Yep.
And so I found I couldn't even run the loop because I'd get to within about 2 Ks and I'd have to walk back to the car. So what I did is Tracy had a really good watch that could have set like a 30-second timer and then a 2-minute timer. And I would run for 30 seconds, listen to the beep, and then and then walk for 2 minutes. Listen for the beep and then run for half an hour. And it took about, 4 months of that, and then slowly increasing the run, reducing the walk before I could run the loop. It took about 4 months. And that got my shins kind of used to running, and the pain went away after that. Just the whole run walking thing.
And that was back in 2016?
2016.
Wow.
Yeah. And so I did the 9K and the Kiri Kiri 21 by run walking it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So how long after you started did you do the half? So how long did it take you from start to getting to the start line of the half?
Oh, probably 6 months.
Wow. That's actually really good.
Yeah.
I didn't do very well.
Yeah, no, but still.
Shin splints.
I got to the end of the 21, and I remember Tracy beat me by about 20 minutes. And Flash from radio was one of the announcers at the finish line.
Yeah.
And she knows Tracy and myself. And
Yeah.
when I crossed the line, she goes, "Ian, what took you so long? Your wife's been in for ages." So that was quite funny. But I remember
Nice.
afterwards at the prize giving on the big grass at Kiri Kiri, I couldn't sit, I couldn't stand, I couldn't move because my legs were so sore. So yeah, big lessons from that first one about training and stuff.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
Yeah.
What do you enjoy about running then? Why did you keep coming back?
I don't know why I kept going. Part of the challenge was because Tracy was doing it as well.
Yeah.
But I did enjoy it. I enjoyed the achievement of it, I think. I'm a planner by trade, and so I like having structure, and I just took to running with the structure and wanted to get better that way. The one thing that I did with Kiri Kiri was I was run walking it, and I had music on. So I would walk a song and then run a song, which is really good, excepting if there's a 30-minute song and it's on the run section.
30-minute song?
13-minute song.
Oh, what song is that?
So I learned very quickly not to run with music. So I don't now anyway. After that, probably that first year, I don't run with music anymore.
Oh, that's interesting. Huh. I feel like music for me helps pump me up and get me going. So.
No, I find I kind of run to the rhythm of the music, and it just puts
You're
me off.
definitely one or the other. You're never sort of like in the middle.
Okay.
Unless like you want to go for a run and just like be in your own head kind of thing and listen to your own thoughts. But usually I don't want to do that. I'm like, no. I want to zone out. Like I'm here to like just zone out, you know.
Yeah.
I like the birds and the forest and listening to the noise.
Yeah,
and all that.
yeah, definitely. Yeah. Yeah. So, okay, so you weren't a massive fan of running when you first started. No. So what do you love about it now? Like something's kept you in it for the last 8 years, Ian. What is it?
I enjoy getting home after a run
Yeah.
and a bit sweaty and tired, and just that kind of the 20 minutes afterwards where you're sitting on the couch, that sense of achievement, it feels great. And if I don't do it for a few days, I get a bit anxious. It certainly helped for my weight, and it certainly helped with stress levels and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And it's also, I think, part of the running, now that I've been doing it for a few years for both of us, Tracy and myself, is that we've seen places that we won't normally see.
Yeah.
Like Waitomo, for example, we went through caves which the public can't get to.
Wow.
And running has taken us to those places.
Yeah.
And that's why I enjoy the social side. I've met you guys through running. My first year of running, it was probably the first 2 or 3 years, I ran by myself. And then I joined Parkrun and then Hatia. Changed my world. So I guess running was a chore for a while, and then you start meeting people, and then it changes it.
Yeah. And we were talking about this the other night on our run about how awesome it is to have a community around you in running, and how you kind of look back to previous to when I was in Whangarei and I didn't have a running community around me, and now I'd say 50% of my friends are runners. And how cool it is to turn up to Parkrun on a Saturday morning and know so many people and be so excited to see everyone, rather than like I used to turn up in Palmerston North to Parkrun like by myself and like not talk to anyone, you know. So
Really?
yeah. So Ian and I we had a run together on Monday night. We're talking about the running community and how inclusive it is and supportive and yeah.
But even if you just go for a run in the evening, you're going to see someone you know.
Yeah.
You know, so you're waving to someone, or you stop and have a chat to most nights when you go running.
Yeah.
Because you're meeting people through running.
Yeah, definitely.
Do you think meeting all those people has made you a better person?
Or running's made you a better person?
I'm not sure that's possible.
Because I was
such
born
a good
awesome.
Look, I'd like to think so. I haven't been running for very long, and I think what it has done for me is I've had a lot of help from people within the club in terms of training, getting personal bests. And so now I've kind of achieved some really nice, cool goals in it, and to now give back. So I'll be running at like the Whangarei 21 last year, and I had no real goal, but someone wanted to reach 2 hours. So I just wanted to help him get to 2 hours. Didn't know the guy, but all of a sudden I want to do that for people. And if that makes me a better person, then that's great.
Yeah.
But I think that's changed. I'm certainly a lot more kind of community focused and helping everyone else get their goals now. And look, I'm not going to help them get a 20-minute park run, but I will help them get a 25-minute park run.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think you have, I mean, you've been running for 8 years, and that is a long time. And I think you probably have got a lot of wisdom in it, because the more that I would run with you, I could see your consistency. And even when I started thinking about doing maybe the backyard ultra, you were one of the first people I was like, oh, I bet Ian would have some really good recommendations around fueling and just even preparing for that and planning for that. Because I've seen how, probably because you're a planner, you're really good with your training, and how do you must have like a training plan that you follow, or what do you do there to keep it so consistent?
So I'm very structured around running and training. So if I've entered an event, I'll work backwards kind of 16, 20 weeks, draw up a plan. It keeps me honest. I practice around eating and fueling, and I'll train during a run and try things out way before I'm going to do it on the race day. And I also change up my running training plan based on what event I'm doing. So, for example, when I did the Blue Lakes last year, the 6K lap of the lake, I didn't want to just go out and do a 25 or 30K run.
Yeah.
I actually found a 6K loop in Glenbervie, ran it, and then got back to the car, waited for the hour to finish, and then went out again. And so I was quite focused and structured around my training. So I'd go out and do 7 or 8 hours, but just do 6Ks per hour, get back to the car, practice refueling, read a book, get to the hour, go again.
Yeah.
And so your body gets used to what you're going to try
and
to do.
And you're practicing your pacing too. I remember I ran into you a couple of times and you were like run walking kind of thing. You were like really like quite fastidious about how you ran.
Yes, because I'm not the fastest, and it's no use going out and running for 6Ks because the goal was 24 hours.
Yeah.
And you can go and do it in 36 minutes and rest for 25. But and again, this is the planning side. I did a whole lot of research, and I Googled and I listened, and I went onto forums around how do you train for these kinds of things. And everything I read said, don't try smash your lap. Go as slow as you can, and then every fourth lap or fifth lap have a quick one.
Yeah.
So you don't want to be resting for 20 minutes. You want to be resting for like 10 or 15. So I paced my run around finishing in 45 minutes. Unfortunately, on the day it was terrible weather, and we were averaging kind of 50 to 58 minutes.
Yeah.
But yeah, very
can't
structured.
plan for that though, really,
No.
can you?
No.
Yeah.
I think that's why you were the perfect guest even for today, because there's so many people that are running their first 50K, and because you do a really good job of researching and planning, I knew right away, I was like, oh, Ian's going to be wonderful to have along.
He's literally your ultimate running nerd, to be honest. Ian, every time I run with Ian, he's like, I've read this book and I've read this book, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like, I need to up my game, because he actually knows so much.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because the books really helped me, like the 100, for example. Just little phrases or little sentences of those running books made a world of difference. You know, when you're in that kind of pain cave or whatever people call it, you just focus on little phrases or little words.
What do you got? Can you share some phrases?
So one of them was run the kilometre you're in. So don't focus on the one coming up or the one in the hill in 10K's time. Just focus on the kilometre you're in.
Yeah.
Finish that one and then start again. And in the last 25Ks of the 100, that's all Trace and I did, was just get to the kilometre, listen for the beep. Okay, let's do it again.
Yeah.
Let's do another one. Let's do another one.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, I love that kind of stuff. Mine is run the mile you're in. But run the K you're in works just as good.
The other one, which was really good, was it's just left me now. How if you're in that pain cave and you got like only 70Ks in and you're in agony, you can stop and the pain will go away to be replaced by regret.
Yeah.
So don't give in to that,
Yeah.
because the pain will go away at the end, but don't replace it with regret.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pain is temporary.
Yeah.
What is it? But the quote's like, pain is temporary, but failure lasts forever. Some really extreme. And in my head, I'm like, I can't fail.
There's a really cool Tool song that I like, and which I try to listen to at least the day before a big run, and it talks about pain being an illusion. And it's true, because it'll come, and then at the end of the race you stop running and the pain
Goes away. Yeah.
or to a degree.
Yeah.
But you just got to fight it and have that. And I've done a training to practice that pain, but you can't give in.
Are there any races that you finished that you felt regret?
Not I did a race about a year ago. I did the Auckland Waterfront, and I wanted to do a PB. And then, like a month before that, my parents arrived from South Africa, and it was way more important for me to actually have a beer with my dad every night after work, and so the training dropped off.
Yeah.
And the train and the run went terrible, because I decided to try it anyway, to try go for the PB, and I got about halfway through and realised I wasn't going to do it. And it messes with your mind, I still did like 1:43 or something, really happy, but it wasn't what the plan said.
Yeah, but also you didn't follow the plan. Like
No.
that was the difference between that race and every single other one you've probably done, is that you didn't follow the plan, right?
that's
so,
right. But looking back, the beer with my dad was way more important.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. So you can't really regret that, right?
No,
Because what are you going to look back and say, I regretted hanging out with my dad? Like you're not even going to regret that. Like, like of course you're not. Yeah.
But I've had 2 races where my parents have watched me.
Yeah.
And over the last 6 years, and both of them happened to be the Auckland Waterfront. And the last year's one where I was be with my dad, and the first one 6 years ago, I'd had kidney stone surgery 7 weeks before,
Oh.
and I'd had a stent put into the kidney tube and various things, and I didn't run for 7 weeks, and I thought, how hard can it be? I'm fit enough,
Yeah.
so I'll go do it anyway. And I think I did like 2 hours 25, and I felt so ill afterwards.
Yeah.
That having lunch in Mission Bay, I couldn't even eat.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so the 2 times my parents have watched me have not gone well.
Yeah. Oh, jeez. I feel like we've jumped around a bit. I don't even know, what was the first event you ever signed up for then?
The Kitty was
Yeah,
it?
just the Whangarei 9 and then the Kiri 21.
Yeah.
What was your first ultra then that you did?
I signed up for the Taupo 50 in 2021, I think it was.
Okay.
And then it got cancelled because of COVID. And so about 6 of us did 50 Ks just around Whangarei on the day for fun.
Oh.
And then the entry got rolled over to 2022. And I decided, well, I've already run 50 even in training. So I emailed them asking to change it to the 100, which they did. So the 100 Taupo was my first ultra.
Wow.
Actual ultra,
Yeah.
yeah.
It was a really cool day as well. I was there at the end when Ian finished.
I was going to bring that up.
Yeah.
We'll go there now, but I think we were speaking about the running community before. So we did the 100 kilometre, and I ran with Ryan and Tracy, and we finished at 7 o'clock at night, 14 hours, or just under. And any good runner should be in the pub by 7 o'clock. But it felt like half of Hartia was actually at the finish line.
Oh.
Yeah.
So Hannah and I think Hayden was there, Sam was there. There was a whole bunch of people there who had run the shorter distances, gone into Taupo, got showered and had some food and came back to watch us come in.
Yeah.
It was the most amazing thing. I mean, there were some amazing things on the day,
Yeah.
but that's right up there from a community point of view.
Yeah.
That these guys came to watch us finish. It was incredible.
It was emotional because you feel emotional because it's like your training partner and you know how much has gone into it. So I personally felt like, I know you would have technically been more emotional, Ian, but I was like super emotional about it. Like I was like just so like proud, like I was like, oh my gosh, he's done it. And like him and Ryan, and I was like training with Ryan at the time, Ryan Gray, he's our other good friend. Like it was just amazing to see such an incredible like achievement like 100 kilometers is like such an incredible achievement, you know. So I loved that day. It was so cool. I'll always remember it, I think.
Yeah, I won't forget it. The fact that I was with Ryan, with Tracy, and we had family friends were there as well. In fact, we had some family friends, David and Sharon, who were travelling up from Wellington to Whangarei, stopped for the night in Taupo to watch me finish.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
You know, I think I've got goosebumps talking about it.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
And I think it was cool because we all kind of like achieved something that day. Like Hayden got a PB in his 50.
Yep. Sam won it.
I actually only ended up doing the like 24K, but like I still just had an amazing, it was my first like proper like I guess foray into like a race like that. Like I hadn't done trail races or anything ever before, so even that for me I was like, oh, that was so cool, and it kind of sparked my love for trails. Yeah,
that's amazing.
Whereas before I didn't think I liked trail running. I thought it would never be for me, but then I went and did that event and I was like, yeah, this is cool, like this is fun. Yeah,
that whole occasion summed up
yep,
social and club running.
Yeah,
you know, it was amazing.
Totally.
Can you tell me a little bit more about that race day? Like, you ran with Ron and Tracy the whole time and kind of
No, so Ryan and I trained together. So and the plan was that we're going to run our own races. We had different goals. It was my first 100, it was his second or third, and he was training for 100 miles. So we had different goals. We crossed the start line together, that was the goal. And then he kind of took off a bit quicker than I did. And I was going to walk the hills and I was going to chill out. And then I caught him at 50.
Did you walk the hills and chill out?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah,
That's
it was
good.
Yeah, of course he planned that.
Yes,
So of course he did it. He will always do what he planned. Yeah.
Yeah, it was. In fact, I remember getting onto a string of about 6 people, and they were walking the hills, running the downs, walking the ups, and then all of a sudden they started running some of the hills, and I'm like, no. And so I had to cut them loose because they weren't doing what I wanted to do. But anyway, I caught Ron at 50. I don't think he was having the best run. And then we ran together from 50, and then got to 76. And then Tracy picked us up at 76.
Okay.
And then we ran again together for a while.
Do you want to talk about what picked up means? Paced, eh? Like
Paced,
she paced
sorry.
you.
Paced me.
Yeah. Just in case people are listening are like, you got picked up in the car?
Picked up,
Got driven to the finish line. Yeah.
And Tracy had done the 50 2 or 3 years before.
Yeah.
So she knew the course. So she started pacing us, and she was great. She was chatting away, and we ended up having to ask her to keep quiet because we couldn't answer back because we were too tired. But we got to about K 82, I think, maybe, and we were really struggling. Ron and I were kind of almost on empty, and Ryan knew that I had a goal of under 14 hours, and so he said to me, if you guys want to go and get 14 hours, you guys need to leave me. So I looked at Tracy and we decided that we're going to go. And I said to her, you just run and I'll try to keep up with you. And if I fall over, we will then reevaluate the plan. So we took off. And when I say took off, it was like relatively took off.
You're so logical. I love hearing all of this. It's
Yeah,
very
it's
logical.
good, eh?
Yeah.
So she ran in front of me. And when I say running, it was like over 8-minute Ks, but we were just moving. And then it was quite funny because we've got one more hill, Ian, one more hill. And then about 3 hills later, she's going, no, there's just one more hill.
I hate that.
Yeah. And I almost got to the end and wanted to draw her a picture of what an uphill looks like because she had no idea. But she was great. And then with about 5Ks to go, I hear this noise behind me and Ryan is caught up. He got a second wind.
Wow.
And I think we almost just about started crying when he caught up. And then we kind of ran the last 5Ks together, and then all 3 of us crossed the finish line together. So it was a perfect day from that point of view.
Cool. Yeah, definitely. Ian has, it feels like, about 100 runs on his bucket list. Whenever I meet up with Ian, he's telling me about some other crazy run he wants to do. But today, Ian, you're only allowed to talk about one, okay? You can choose one run. If you could only do one run in the whole world off your bucket list, what would it be?
Comrades.
Oh, really?
Why?
Cool. Yeah, why?
Because from where I'm from South Africa, and so in South Africa, if you're a runner, you have to do comrades.
Can you actually, for listeners that don't know what comrades is, can you maybe just give a little background?
So I might be lying to some people now, but I think comrades is the longest. It's not the longest run, but it's the oldest ultra, I think, or road ultra. It's about 90 k's, I think, in South Africa, and it runs from Durban to Pietermaritzburg. And every other year it runs from Pietermaritzburg to Durban. So one's kind of uphill and one's downhill. And they're brutal with the cutoffs. So it's a 12-hour cutoff. And if you are 1 minute out of that, you get nothing. You don't get a finisher's medal. So that's my goal, is comrades. Because in South Africa, if you're a runner, the first question people ask you is, have you done comrades?
Yeah. That's like for an American, it's Boston. Yeah, you are correct. It is the world's largest and oldest ultramarathon race. And kind of like what you had described, where they alternate each year directions. And I think when they're going up, they gain, so between the up run, 87.6 kilometers starting from Durban, and the down run starting from, how do you say that? Pietermaritzburg that's crazy. That's 3,000 feet. And so it's a big difference of like, depending on what year you're running it. So hopefully you pick, I mean, I don't know. Do you have a preference of what year you want to rate? Or
I'm going to make it as easy as I can, right? So run down.
Okay.
But I've got some friends in South Africa who have done 10 or 15 of them.
Yeah, I have met some people here who have done 10 or 15 comrades.
Because you actually get I think it's a green number.
Yeah.
You get a permanent number, and that number stays yours.
Yeah.
And don't you get different medals depending on what your time is or something?
Yes.
Yeah. And then what's that thing that happens at 12 hours, like the guns or something? Something like that. Like there's literally, or am I just making that up? Did I imagine that?
I remember watching on TV, because it used to be televised live every once a year in South Africa.
Yeah.
And people would watch the start on TV. People would watch the first guy coming in, which would normally be a guy called Bruce Fordyce. And then people would tune in around the news time for the end, because there would be a whole lot of security guards that in those days it was 11 hours, now it's 12, they would close the finish line. So if you were 10 meters from the finish line, you weren't allowed to cross the finish line. They would feed you off the chute somewhere else. So it's brutal. You weren't allowed to finish. There was no medal. They literally just turn the lights out and everyone goes home. It's mad.
So are there guns or no?
Not to know.
It doesn't sound like there's a single gun in that story, Hannah.
Puts a gun up in the air and like shoots the gun to say it's stopped the end.
That might happen. I don't know.
Oh my gosh. Can someone please let me know if that is true? I can't have made that up. So any listeners, please let me know if that's true.
I know South Africa's bad. There's not guns everywhere.
It's not like an aggressive thing. I'm sure it's like someone comes and like puts a gun up in the air and like shoots it, like, or something like that, like to mark the end of the race.
No, there might be.
Google that.
Okay,
I'll let
you
know
go ahead and
later
Google it.
I think it's interesting that I've chosen a road race, but I think it's so iconic for South Africa that that it's on the list.
Yeah. And then, because do you have a trail race too, probably, that you'd favor?
I'd like to do, people talk about doing the UTMBs in the Western States and all those fancy runs. I would rather focus on doing multi-day runs. So like, for example, there's a race in Alice Springs, which is 4 days through Alice Springs. When I was doing Waitomo, for example, I ran next to a couple, and they weren't talking to me, they were having their own conversation. But he was talking about doing a 4-day run through Nepal, where you do like 50, 60 Ks a day. That's what attracts me, is those multi-day events, as opposed to doing I still want to do 100 miles, but the multi-day ones really appeal.
I think that would fit you well too with all your planning. Yeah.
But also, you'd need endless money and endless time.
It is very expensive. Yeah. So we've done a lot of talking about your background, about your hopes and dreams. I think we could probably get started. Hannah, do you have any other questions for Ian?
Not on that kind of stuff, but
okay.
We can talk. Do we want to start talking about the Trek Trail and Fish 50?
Yeah, he's got. It's obvious that you've you're such a good planner. And again, I think you're probably able to provide really good advice around, even if we're only 2 weeks out. I still think sometimes it's really good as a runner to listen to what someone else has done, and it's like confirmation, like, okay, yep, I did the right thing, like I put the training in.
So do you want to talk about a little bit about what your plan is for that day and how you're training to make sure that plan comes to fruition?
Yep. So this is my first 50, so I don't really know how it's going to go.
Apart from that one you did in Whangarei, but it's your first official race,
First official 50. Yeah. I mean, and I've trained at 60s and stuff when I did, but first event of 50. So I don't really know, and I've got no real expectations. And it's interesting whether it's an age thing or whether it's because I've been running for 8 years and I've done some things. It's now no longer about the time; it's about the event and the adventure and enjoyment of it. So I've got a target in the back of my head. But I'm not super stressed about time. So the training has probably reflected that a little bit. Hasn't been as intense as the Taupo training did. But I have been practicing around nutrition because I know that there's a lot of places in Taupo, in the Track Trail Fish Run, where there's no aid stations.
Yeah.
So practicing eating and what I'm going to be carrying. On the day, I normally have a breakfast of oats and banana. Although I've been practicing with Wheat Bix Bites the last couple of long runs, and that seemed to be doing the trick as well. It hasn't really upset me at all. So I'll have a breakfast, get up really early enough to go to the toilet at least twice.
If the race start is 6:30?
6.
Sorry, 6? 6 a.m.? I'm sorry.
I think it's at 6. I think I'm going to catch the bus at 5.
I should have known this. It's a very...
Is the bus at 5? I think it's at 5.
Support person failure number 1 gets her runner to the start.
Where's that gun again? Where did you put that gun?
So I'll be about...
So if the race starts at 6 a.m., I'm not racing it, y'all, okay? I'm just here to support, and I will have it written out. Just like Ian, I'll be very prepared. Just not right now. So race start at 6 a.m. What time do you think you'll be eating then by?
About 4:30.
Yeah, that makes sense. And then you catch the bus.
Yep. And then I don't tend to have anything on the start line. I don't carry bananas and stuff. But I will have food for the whole event. I am hoping that the aid stations have oranges or some sort of fruit. Good.
Hayden.
Yep. Hopefully
We'll let
oranges.
Hayden know.
Just put it out there that we can have oranges at the aid stations.
Anyone want to sponsor oranges for the run, just in case?
And if
Just
not,
for Ian.
just let me know and I can put some in my backpack. But so...
What's in your... Can you describe to me what's in your bag?
So besides the compulsory gear, in terms of food, I've got peanut butter and jam sandwiches. I'll have...
That must be an Ian thing, because Ian Birch had a peanut butter and jelly sandwich for the Rotorua Marathon.
Okay.
Yeah, last year. So it's an Ian thing, isn't it?
So Ian and I did the Blue Lakes Taupo, I mean the around the Rotorua Blue Lakes one, the 24-hour one, together last year. And I remember the night before, we went through a whole loaf of bread making sandwiches. Because we were prepping for the whole 24 hours, so we made all our sandwiches the night before.
How many sandwiches are in your bag then for the 50K?
There'll probably be 4.
4, okay.
So for my 25, 30K runs, I've been having 2.
Okay.
So I'll probably double that.
Cool.
Okay.
And then I've got Mars bars, chocolate bars. And I might take chocolate raisins. I'm not sure yet. I have used them in the past. And I will have a bottle of water and a bottle of flat Coke.
Oh.
So I do like taking Coke on my runs.
You'll run out of the Coke eventually though, right?
Yes.
And so then what will you refill it with?
Whatever's at the aid stations.
Okay. Yeah, there's the Trailwind. Wow. Tailwind and R-Line and then water.
Yes,
So there are
I've-
electrolytes at each aid station.
I have used Tailwind before, so
Yeah.
that's okay. But yeah, I don't tend to drink that much. Like I know there's some people who say you've got to have 450 mils per hour or whatever it looks like. I tend to drink a lot less than other people. Drink when I'm thirsty type thing. So I normally get to another run and I have water left over.
Okay.
But I do hydrate heavily the day before. So I'll probably have 2 or 3 Powerades the day before.
Yeah, I think that's really smart. What was your leading up to this 50K longest run that you did?
I've done, my longest run is 30, but my longest weekend has been 50, where I did a 30 then a 20.
Nice.
That was last weekend.
Last weekend, yeah.
So
And
3 weeks out.
Yeah, and I did 27 this morning, and I'll do 10 tomorrow.
Okay.
Yeah, and then that'll be it.
Nice.
I would like to have done a 40, just the way the work has been and the family's been and various things. I haven't quite got to a 40, but I think a 50 weekend was probably going to be enough.
Yeah. How many Ks per week or hours on your feet were you doing leading up to this?
Oh, not enough.
Tell me, like, what would you prefer versus what actually happened?
Well, I mean, if I compare it to Taupo, which was 100, I was doing kind of 95, anywhere between 95 and 105 Ks a week for that. So I wanted to try I've had 2 75 and 80K weeks leading up to this, which is where I wanted to be. I don't want to do more than 80 Ks a week, but I've done 2 weeks of that, which is probably a week or two too short. Okay. But I'm not kind of really going out for a massive time, so I'm not super stressed about it.
Yeah.
This is the first, not the first ultra, but it's the local ultra. So I'm looking forward to running with people that I know. And I've done some other events where I've been by myself, or like Waitoma, I was by myself for probably 10 or 15 Ks, and it's terrible. So this one will be quite good, where I'm just going to chill and run with people I know.
Yeah.
I
feel like that's lots of people's goal for this one, is just to do it and enjoy it, which is cool, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have a specific goal in mind?
Time-wise?
Yeah, or just...
my goal is to do anything better than 6 hours 40. So I'll start off at 6 hours 40 pace, which I think is 8-minute Ks. Get to 42 Ks, and then decide what's left in the tank.
Yeah.
And then go from there.
Yeah.
So that'll be it. I know that the beginning, and I've done that Opua to Paia section a few times, mainly with Ryan actually, when I was training for the 100. And it's quite narrow in places, so you need to kind of find your spot, otherwise you're going to be stuck either in front of some fast people or behind some slow ones, so you've got to time it quite well.
Yeah, that's a good recommendation, because that's the first 4K.
Yeah.
Is it 4 to 8K or even just 4K?
I don't know why I think it's about 6, but it could be I could be wrong.
Yeah. And then if you've put yourself in a place of pushing probably and trying to run because you feel like the people in front of you are running, then you're just going to blow your tank up.
Yeah, I think it's very important, especially because it gets really tricky in the middle of the race.
Yeah.
That first section not to blow out.
Yeah.
And you could quite easily do it then, because you're going to be stuck in the wrong pack.
Yeah. It's better just to get stuck behind people that are probably slightly slower than you, so that you just go out nice and easy, and like you say, like, don't just leave some energy in the tank for the latter parts of the
Because from what I've heard and that is that the end is quite fast coming into Paia. So if I can get to 40, 42 Ks and be on track for what my goal is, then I think I'll be okay.
Yeah, you've got rolling hills on Skyline, which is like 32 to 40K. And then you go down into, and you're kind of going up, but then you go down into Waitangi Mountain Bike Park, which is a good downhill. And you've got that flatter section and then one more climb to the road. And so, yeah, you're able to, well, I think if I was racing this, I would probably tell myself I just have to survive Skyline. And once I've made it there, then just sort of try to send as much as I can that's left in the tank.
I think it's important to know the course, right? So I did the T42 a few years ago, and everyone who had done it before warned me that the middle section is very tough. It climbs from about K22 to K32. Like, you got to leave something in the tank for that. And yes, it was as bad as it was. But then in your head you go, just get through this bit, because then you're going to fly after that. So as long as you know and you plan, you prepare, and there's not a surprise. If it's a surprise, it's a problem.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's really good.
Yeah, that's like an actual cognitive, like mental strength of chunking, and like chunking your race and chunking it into essentially the same of what you did with staying in your K, the kilometers, but like being able to chunk your race. And if you know the course well, then knowing, I can chunk it, and know I just have to survive to this point, and then, all right, I've made it to that point.
Mean chunks.
We like chunking. What do you mean mean chunks? Chunks. I like chunking it. I like chunking it.
I'm just going to be thinking that on my race
Well, you
now.
better be now.
Just chunk it.
Just keep
chunk
chunking.
it.
Chunk, 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 chunk.
Just put some herbs in it, you'll be fine.
Okay. Wow.
So funny. Okay, so Ian, I know you're really excited about this last question. Ian was like to me the other night, what advice should I give new runners? But did you think of some? What advice are you going to give a new runner?
He's got so much good advice. I can't wait to hear
totally.
it. I'm really excited.
I was like, you'd actually be the perfect person to actually answer this.
Instead of chunking Mallory.
Yeah.
I have thought about it, and then I go one way, and then the next day I come back and I have a completely opposite thought to the first one. So if I give you advice now and it sounds contrary to the first bit I gave you, then I'm sorry. But I think the first thing is, if you're going to do a first one, pick a good one, because it's going to always be your first.
Yeah.
That's such a good way of looking at it.
Like my first off-road run was the T42, and I'll never forget it.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of guys who are doing the Paya one, it's going to be their first 50. It's a good one to do. One, it's the first one, but it's also local and it's beautiful where we're going. So pick a good one.
Yeah.
The other one, I'd say, probably two other things I'd say. One is train. I don't think you can overtrain, but train enough that on the day you're actually just there to enjoy it.
Yeah.
All the hard work is the 20 weeks beforehand, and the day of it is just enjoying that. You're going to wake up and it's going to be raining, and it's going to be terrible during a training block, but just go. Don't roll over, go back to sleep. Train so that you can enjoy the actual day. That's the main thing. You don't want to get to, if you're doing a 21, get to 15 Ks and start feeling terrible, because you want to enjoy that last bit coming into the finish.
That's like what happened to you, where you didn't train for 7 weeks on the Auckland waterfront, and then and you thought you'd be fine.
But no.
Yeah.
Everything I've learned through all my events is train. Because you want to enjoy the day. And then probably the last bit of advice is have the support of your family, because you're going to be away a lot of weekends training. And so you've got to have that support, because you don't want to get back and there's going to be grumpy kids or grumpy family. You've got to have the support. And I've been lucky with that, because Tracy runs as well, and she lots of support. I support her in an event, and then the next year she supports me in an event. So that's very important. So pick a good one, train, and have the support of your family. And I told Hayden once, open a running account.
Oh, what was that?
Open a running account in your bank account.
A bank account for running.
Okay. Yeah.
So we have an account called Running, and we put $50 there every fortnight or whatever it is. And so it slowly builds up. And if you need a pair of shoes, you go to your running account. Oh, there's enough money for shoes. I'm going to buy some shoes.
Oh, I am doing this with Wayne.
And then you don't feel bad spending money out of your running account, because it's for running. So we plan during the year, and we go away for an event. And the accommodation, the food, the travel money, all that sort of stuff comes out of the running account. And so because it's out of your normal account, you don't see it anymore. It's just accumulating.
Interesting. That's probably come from Tracy, because she's an accountant.
Absolutely.
Okay. She's smart.
No, I'll be bankrupt without it.
Yeah. Thanks for that, Trace.
I love your advice. I think the training reminds me of being just consistent. And I couldn't agree more. It feels really good it feels terrible when you're not prepared for a race. Yeah. And I think, a lot of people, because it's probably is their first, I'm sure that they have been training and have been really consistent with their this block, because this is their first 50K. So I'm excited to see everyone out there.
Yeah.
I think also I did quite a few runs before I joined Parkrun and before I joined Hatia. And the difference in my running and my times between the two is immense. Now, could I've got better by myself anyway, marginally better, but not the jumps that I made in my times. So running in a pack or running with a friend, training for the 100, I ran with Ryan. So we had the same 24-week program. We did all our long runs together on the weekends. We kept each other honest around our training program. find that if you can.
Yeah. Yeah, and like you said, the morning of, if it's like dumping buckets and not great, everyone's there together and you're all there suffering, but then making this choice and having a good time.
Yeah.
I had a friend, Clint, in Auckland, he's a sub 3 hour marathon guy, and he helped me train for my first marathon. This was before park run and everything. And his philosophy is you got to train like you're going to run the marathon. So hard out all the time.
Yeah.
And
you told me about this guy.
And Clint, best friend, lovely guy. But
you're about to bash him.
No, I'm not. No, I'm not. Because his training method got him to 3 hour marathon. His training method got him to a sub 11 hour Ironman. He's a beast. So he would give me a plan for the week, and every run I'd have to send him a text saying that I've done this or done that. And the one day after work, I was meant to do 15 Ks around the loop or somewhere, and it was sideways rain. Within the first 2 Ks, I almost lost my hat into the water twice. And so I just thought this is too dangerous, and I went back to the car and drove home and didn't send him a text. And he texts me, says, "So what did you do tonight?" I said, "Oh, no, it was too windy, it was too wet." And he got really upset. He goes, "So on the day of the event, if there's sideways rain, are you going to stay in bed?" "No." "So go and train, because it might be as bad on the day."
Yeah.
Best advice ever.
Yeah.
It's the same. Sorry, I'll stop talking. But it's the same as like my coaches when I was rowing would say when we got a side stitch. And they would say, if you're in the middle of a race and you get a side stitch, what are you going to do about it? There's nothing you can do. So you need to figure out how to breathe through it now during practice. And I always think that during running too. I'm like, I just have to. It's great. It's great that I have a side stitch right now. This is a wonderful opportunity when I'm in practice or training to get out of it, because it's going to happen during a race too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And hopefully you've trained and practiced enough and done your nutrition during your runs, that all those little things that can go wrong with an upset stomach or whatever, you've experienced them beforehand.
Yeah.
Clint's view was that before an event, you've got to find your wall. So you know where your wall is. Don't find it on the race day. Find it in training, which was his philosophy. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, that's so interesting. Thanks, Ian. Thanks for that share. That was good. Like you were worried about. Well, I think you were like, "Oh, I don't know what to say for this question." Like, but you actually you've got so much good advice. I think you don't give yourself enough credit for how much you actually know.
Definitely.
And I think I know we're jumping around here, but when I was doing Taupo 100, I did a 40K run with Shannon in the forest, and she's a wealth of knowledge, right?
Yeah.
And we were talking about the plan and what I was going to do, and I said, "Oh, my longest run's going to be a 50." She goes, "Oh, if I was you, I would try to do a 60, just to get over that mental barrier of a 50." Right? And so Ryan and I took that on board, and we did a 60 about 4 or 5 weeks out of the race. We did a 60. And then I got to the race day, and I'm at about K30, and I'm running with this guy. I didn't know him, and we're having a chat because I like talking to people during events. And it's like his third or fifth 100 or fourth 100 or something. And on my first one, he goes, "What was your longest run?" I said it was a 60. And he goes, "Oh, you're going to find out a lot about yourself after 60 Ks. And I started freaking out.
Oh, no.
So, but it helped. I mean, I did feel all kinds of things after 60. But listening to advice from Shannon about doing a longer run than I thought certainly helped. And
you're about to suffer for 10 more Ks because you're only going to do 50. So you only suffered for 40 instead of 50.
So, yeah, it's amazing what advice you can get from people,
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to listen to it or ask for it.
Especially those people that have got more experience in that distance than you. Like Shannon's done, probably 100 races over 50K. Well, she actually has now. She's done.
She's up to 132 now or something.
Yeah. So, I think that's really, really good advice too, and why it's good to have people around you that having a running community around you that can offer that advice.
And I've had some advice from people like Clint who go hard, and then I've had advice from other people in the club who will say run slow and all that. And you've kind of got to find your own thing, whatever works for you.
Definitely, I was definitely a run hard person. Like, oh my gosh, this training block, I have just not given a shit about how fast I run. I'm just going out and just trying to relax, and the difference it's made to my recovery. I couldn't back up runs, so I'd do a long run and then the next day I just had nothing. now I'm able to run like consecutive days. So yeah, I mean, that does work for some people. Some people can go hard every day. I definitely feel like we've even got friends like that in our friendship group that can go hundy every run. Doesn't work for me at all.
No, but it suits them, and
Yes,
that's fine.
definitely. Yeah,
You know?
I just can't back it up, and that's fine. Yeah, and it's also cut with taper as well. Some people benefit from a 3-week taper. Some are 2, some are 4. You've just got to find out what works for you, and it's all through practice. And you're not going to find it out in your first race, you know. But as you get more and more into your running journey, you'll learn these things about yourself.
Yeah, and it becomes more fun. It's just
Exactly. Thanks, Ian. Is there anything else you wanted to share, or?
No, I don't think so.
Ian, how can people find you if they? He's not on Strava.
I am. I just haven't been posting it and sharing
But
it.
you can people
But
can
not
message
even-
on you
I
on
was saying-
Strava,
Well,
right? Yeah.
So what about or even like on if somebody had a question coming up for the 50K, would you feel comfortable
Absolutely.
answering some of their questions? So they could find you on Facebook.
Yes.
Okay, and then not on Strava apparently.
Well, yeah, he is on Strava, but he's just not posting on it, so you won't see his runs on there.
No,
but you can.
I stalk
he's
you
got
guys,
an account,
but I'm not allowing you to stalk me.
Okay, and then you obviously go to Park Run, so they'll
Yeah.
see you at Park Run too.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Park Run, and then Sunday mornings, hopefully at the Heartier runs.
Okay, yeah. So if you're listening and you've got more questions for Ian, please either message him on Facebook or give him a follow on Strava, and then you're gonna have to message him on there. And I'm sure that he'd be happy to talk to you.
They're very happy.
But he is running. Don't look at his Strava and be like, he doesn't even run. He's just not posting them.
Smart.
I went through a stage with it where I was not feeling the best, and I think I had COVID or something, and I started walking and doing a lot of slow runs, and I don't know why, but I didn't want to be judged, so I turned it off, and I just haven't turned it back on again.
Yeah, good on you.
It's the same with me with pregnancy right now. I'm like, do I post it or do I not? It's a weird, but it's all about if it works for you, then post it. If it's not working for you, then don't post
Just
it.
don't. Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah, I'm still putting it to Strava, so I'm collecting all the data, but I'm not. And I like following other people and seeing what they do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Thanks so much, Ian.
Not a problem. Thanks for having me. It's been great. No, seriously, it has.
You can tell me later. Yeah, you just lie now. Just lie now, okay? You can tell me the truth later.
All my toes are crossed.
And of course, thank you to our listeners. We really hope you enjoyed that. I personally found it super interesting and insightful. Even though I've known you for years now, Ian, I still learned a lot. We are so really looking forward to seeing everyone up in the Bay of Islands in 2 weeks' time. I don't know when this episode's going to come out, but we are recording this 2 weeks prior to the race. If you are going to be hanging around in the finish area, we would actually love to have a chat with you there. Mel is going to have all the recording gear at the finish line and would love to have a yarn or a little bit of an interview. So please approach her. Otherwise, she might even be approaching you. So
yeah, I'll be coming for you.
we would really be grateful if you could just give us a little bit of insight into how your race went, etc. I'm sure she'll have lots of questions. A big thank you to our show sponsor, Trek Trail and Fish. You can visit them at trektrailfish.co.nz to buy all your running gear. Remember to use our discount code for 10% off your order. Our discount code is RA10. If you're new to the Run Adjacent podcast, please make sure you follow or subscribe on the platform you're listening to, and if it allows, please leave a rating or a review. This really helps us. Otherwise, you can find Run Adjacent on Instagram and Facebook at Run Adjacent. But until next time, happy running!
I hear Katie's voice.